This is Microphone Rocky, and I'm here with my man Will Morgan with Will's Fantasy Favorites. He's got the latest and greatest sports fantasy picks around the league right now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Will's Fantasy Favorites. I'm your host, Mr. William D. Morgan, and I have a special guest with me right now. He is my fellow group member from All Sports, All Plays. Lennon, what's up, man?
How's it going, man? How are you?
Doing pretty good. I can't complain. Want to talk a little bit of fantasy football with you, and I do appreciate you coming on. And don't forget, guys, Will's Fantasy Favorites is part of the Beyond the Headlines podcast with Renee Washington on Fox Sports 96.9 FM and 1340 AM. All right, let's go ahead and get started, Lennon. I wanted to bring up some free agents.
Okay.
I want to talk about what you think about a couple of these guys. And I want to know who your number one waiver wire pickup would be. Who is your number one waiver pickup for the week?
I would say Kendrick Bourne of the Patriots. I feel like he's done good, especially last week against the Titans. I feel like he's starting to build momentum, and with over 100 receiving, or no, I'm thinking about the Titans running back. It was like 69, 70 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. I feel like he's a good fantasy ad if you like have a late injury and needed like a flex option or a wide receiver too.
My guy that I'm looking at this week as my number one waiver pickup would be Alexander Madison from the Minnesota Vikings. With Dalvin Cook going down with that shoulder injury, that looked kind of horrific. With that injury going down during that game, he stepped in, played well for the short time he was out there. He's also produced well when Dalvin Cook hasn't been on the field otherwise. So I think he would really should be your number one waiver pickup of the week if you can get him.
I definitely agree because I think in my work league I think they have him at like I'm facing him and they have him at like 16 points this week,
Right.
which is pretty good for a backup.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I
I'd
agree.
e- I'd even say the Panthers running back Chuba Hubbard or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like he didn't do much. I mean, he did enough while McCaffrey was out that 4 weeks. But I feel like now that he has the reins for the rest of the season, I feel like he's going to be picking up a lot of steam.
Yeah. Hubbard is my number two guy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was going to say he's my number two also.
He's my number two guy this week. Let's move on forward to number three for me is Jamal Williams for the Lions. Now, with Swift being out this week, it looks like it's going to be more of a day to day thing or week to week injury. So Jamal Williams is my number three, but it looks to be more of a week to week, day to day type injury. But Williams should start at least one game and maybe get you some points.
Yeah, yeah, I could see that. Honestly, I have Tony Jones Jr. of the Saints. I feel like with if the possibility that Kamara is out this Thursday against the Cowboys, I feel like Ingram is going to have a little bit of trouble with the Cowboys linebackers group. So I
Right.
feel like Tony Jones Jr. has what it takes to kind of not really evade them, but get enough so where he gets like a couple, maybe 15-yard pickups, maybe a couple receiving yards, something like that.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think he's my number eight guy for the week. But I do like him, particularly if Kamara doesn't play. And if Ingram doesn't play, I like him a little bit better than I do Ingram because you know what you get out of Ingram. You're pretty much going to get um, leadership. You're going to get some pass blocking up front. A guy who can um, get some between the tackles yards, but he won't be anything spectacular.
Yeah.
All right, my number four guy this week is Sonny Michelle for the St. Louis Rams. With Darrell Henderson suffering an injury, and he may also miss time, I think he would be a really good guy to start at the flex option. Who's your number four guy?
I actually got to agree with you on that one. I was actually going to say Sony Michelle myself. Because like you don't know how long Daryl Henderson's going to be out because I feel like he takes a little bit longer to heal from injuries than most running backs do.
Yes.
I mean, but with Sony Michelle, I feel like with his time in New England, I feel like in that now his time with LA, I feel like he's had enough time to where he's like, okay, I figured out what I need to work on, and he's finally starting to be one of the maybe a low end RB1, maybe a high end flex option. But I could see a good game from him this Sunday.
My fifth and sixth guys are the running backs for the Tennessee Titans, Dontrell Hilliard and Deontay Foreman.
Okay, okay,
Look, they got matchups with the Texans and the Jags coming up, and you can't really beat those matchups.
that is true. I mean, especially with the
Excuse me.
Texans' weakened secondary.
Yeah, so I really like that. Um, who else you liking on? Who else you liking on your end?
Um, I actually like John Smith of the Patriots. I feel like I mean, I know he's been plagued with injuries a little bit this season, so he hasn't really had time to, prove himself especially with the new playbook.
Right.
But I feel like he's a good enough tight end to where he can have that one good game, and then just pick up speed from there.
Another guy who I also like this week. He's my number 7 guy. Boston Scott for the Philadelphia Eagles. It looks like Jordan Howard may miss time. My only issue though, you know how Philly like to use those running backs. They like to use them, sort of kind of by committee. So it might be Miles Sanders, it might be Boston Scott, and no telling who else to bring up on the roster.
Yeah, might be Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, who leads
Yeah,
everybody in rushing. That's a good possibility. Um, Someone else who I'm looking at this week. Now he didn't do anything on Monday night, but I'm really liking Curtis Samuel's coming up
okay.
with JD McKissick going out. If he's going to be out for any length of time, I think Curtis Samuel can rack up. He's just coming back off an injury, so hopefully we'll see him ramp up a little more, a little more, a little more each week.
Yeah, I was going to say that was my next pick because, like you said, once he gets enough time to build that confidence on the field coming from an injury, I feel like he can be a wide receiver one. I mean, low end wide receiver one, but still wide receiver one.
Mm-hmm.
Who is Curtis Samuel facing this week?
The football team. I have all the schedules right here. The football team. Hold on a second. Let me see what they're playing. 14. They're playing the Raiders.
The Raiders.
Yeah, they're playing the Raiders.
It's a hit and miss with that secondary. You can never really tell.
Facts.
I mean, I could see a good game. I could see a good game. I mean, he can get the separation. I mean, yeah, I could see it.
Now we already talked about a few guys. You already talked about Tony Jones Jr. What about Tevin Coleman from the New York Jets? He's got Michael Carter out this week. But however, he's still going to be part of a running back by committee. But what's your thoughts on him?
I mean, I've always been a fan of Tevin Coleman. I mean, I feel like with New York, I feel like he's a good veteran
Right.
addition, especially with Michael Carter coming in. I mean, I know he's injured this week, so it gives him enough time to get enough snaps to. I feel like he could have a good 100-yard game.
Now, another dude I wanted to take a quick look at. I was looking at my notes on him. An oldie but a goodie. Matt Breida.
Ooh. Who's Breida with?
The Buffalo Bills.
Oh, okay, yeah, he's still with the Bills. Good.
And look, in the last game, yes, it was against the Saints, but the last game he looked like the best running back on that roster.
Honestly, he did. He did, especially with Zach Moss out for a good. I don't even know what's going on with him. Is he still injured, or because I know he didn't play last week?
That was a coach's decision, I think.
Oh,
It was
coach's
that big
decision.
foot Morris, yeah.
Oh, kind of like what Belichick did with Malcolm Butler in Super Bowl
Mm-hmm.
52.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I still think he should regret that decision, but
All right, last guy I want to look at, and then we'll get into a couple of topics real quick. Taysom Hill from the New Orleans Saints with Trevor Siemian not playing well. I do believe that they need to give the reins over to Taysom Hill. Is he a quarterback by per se? No, but he just gets results. He gets the job done. You think Taysom Hill's a good quarterback?
I think he is. I mean, he's basically like if Cam Newton was staying consistent in a way. I mean,
Oh my goodness.
I just think as soon as Winston got hurt, they should have gave, like you said, they should have gave it immediately to Taysom. Let Trevor Siemian sit for a couple years, maybe let him learn from Taysom and Jameis.
Yep.
And honestly, like you said, he gets the job done. I feel like he gets probably good 200 or 200 passing yards, a good maybe like 80 to 100 rushing yards still.
Mm-hmm. He's capable.
Yeah, so I mean, he still tries to do everything, even when he's at quarterback. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we see him doing kickoff returns Sunday or Thursday.
All right. Another thing I want to get into real quickly, then we'll get on out of here. That situation that happened. I just had it written down. That situation with DK Metcalf wasn't really thrown to on Monday night. Had one target. I think he had one catch, one target for one catch for 13 yards. Do you think it's time we stop starting DK Metcalf?
I think it is, at least for right now, just until Russell Wilson gets that confidence that he needs to. I feel like that injury kind of threw his game off, because you could even Pete Carroll said himself that most of the basic plays are getting away from Russell. So I think it's more of a mentality type of thing than an actual that's bothering him. It kind of like when Alex Smith came back a couple years ago. We all remember he was real nervous. Like, he kind of was hesitant towards the first couple of games.
Yep.
I just feel like once he picks up that confidence, everything should be okay.
And do you think we should be worried about Tom Brady right now? He hasn't really played well since week 8. Hadn't really played really well since that point. Do you think we should be worried about Tom Brady right now?
If we were talking non-fantasy, I would say no. I would say no with a confident no. But fantasy-wise, I feel like yes. He's never really been the consistent fantasy quarterback that you need. I mean, yeah, he gets the stats and he gets the win, but it's never really, a 30-point game, 20-point game. It's normally like 10, 15.
Right.
So I'd say yes, but it's more worried that he's being the usual fantasy quarterback that he is.
All right, that's going to do it tonight for Will's Fantasy Football. We went over free agency, went over some players that you can look out for on your free agent waiver wire. Also talked about Tom Brady and DK Metcalf. So definitely check us out. Fantasy Football, Will's Fantasy Footballers, 96.9 FM, 1340 AM on the Beyond the Headlines podcast with my girl Renee Washington. Love you, Renee. Good luck to your Philadelphia Eagles this week. Man, thank you for joining me, brother. I appreciate you, man.
Well, thank you for having me on.
This was put together very short notice.
I was going to say, was it an
goodness. Hour? Yeah, about an hour.
As soon as I got off talking with, sent you that message, I immediately got to doing my research. I was like, I got to be on this.
Yo, we always welcome on, my brother. Always welcome on.
Thank you, man. Just let me know when.
We're going to add you to the roster for sure. Thank you for joining us out there, everyone. And we'll see you again next week. Will's Fantasy Football is right here on the Beyond the Headlines podcast with Renee Washington. Have a great week, everyone.
Only on Beyond the Headlines. This is Beyond the Headlines. Only on Beyond the Headlines. This is Beyond the Headlines. Only on Beyond the Headlines. This is Beyond the Headlines with Renee Washington.